Weird But Wonderful Podcast, your weekly dose of weirdness with me, your host, James. And on this show, we take a journey into the minds of strange people doing strange things. I'm going to say one word to you, and I want you to just hit me with what your immediate response is. Gossip, often a term that elicits negative emotions, connotations, bringing to mind images of high school cliques, scandalous rumors, reality television shows. What the fuck did John say to Mark on maths? That type of shit. But what if I told you that gossip isn't all that bad? And what if a recent study conducted by researchers found that gossip can facilitate social connection and even enable learning about the world indirectly through others' experiences? I don't know why they lead with something like that, because isn't that like most things? If you just watch someone else do it or say something and then you see the response to that, you go, I'm indirectly learning from their experiences. But hey, let's think of the first one, facilitate social connection. So in this episode, we're going to attempt to put aside our preconceived notions about gossip and how it's a sucky, shitty thing that sucky, shitty people do to be sucky and shitty. And let's attempt to explore it as the, quote, multifaceted communication and social function that these studies suggest that it is. Why gossip feels good. Why do we feel? What the fuck is wrong with us? Hey, come here real quick. What the fuck is wrong with us? And why do we feel so great about gossiping? If someone described you as a gossip, you probably would not be flattered. You would undoubtedly feel insulted. We've been well socialized to detest gossip and gossipers, and not many of us like to think of ourselves in this way. The aspect of gossip that is most troubling to us is that in its rawest form, it can be a strategy used by individuals to further their own reputations and selfish interests at the expense of others. Tell me about it. Watch a couple episodes of Maths. Am I right, guys? Oh, what's that? Harrison's talking shit about someone else to deflect away from his shitty marriage. For anyone who doesn't watch Maths, that's not a joke. That was and those that do watch Maths know that was very specifically related to very recent episodes. Okay, perfect. I'm glad we're not dating this podcast or setting it or couching it within a very specific time or series of a show, so that's good. And although most gossip is not mean-spirited or spiteful, is most gossip not mean-spirited and spiteful? It feels pretty mean-spirited to engage in it, but anyway, their words, not mine. About gossip not being mean-spirited, I think it might be mean-spirited. Anyway, although most gossip is not mean-spirited or spiteful, it is this nasty side of gossip that usually overshadows the more benign ways in which it functions in society. Gossip has always been essential in human groups. To be socially successful, people needed to understand who was a reliable individual who could be trusted and counted on in times of need, who was a cheater, who would take advantage of them if given the opportunity, and who would be a dependable, valuable mate. We also had to carefully monitor the doings of those around us if we were to have any hope of effectively managing friendships, alliances, and family relationships. This all sounds like an episode of Billions so far. Like you're considering the relationships that you have with people as moving around chess pieces on a chessboard. In short, people who were fascinated with the lives of others were simply more successful than those who were not. And it is the genes of those busybodies that have come down to us through the ages. People who were fascinated in the lives of others were simply more successful than those who were not. I want you to write that down, and the next time anyone gives you shit about watching a reality TV show, I want you to parrot that back to them. Actually, according to a recent study, people who are fascinated with the lives of others were simply more successful than those who were not. Okay. And that's why I watch Lux Listings. Thank you. Gossip can and does cause problems in the workplace and other social groups when negative gossip gets out of control. But focusing only on the dark side of gossip prevents us from appreciating the many positive things that it accomplishes. And there is ample evidence that when it's controlled, gossip can indeed be a positive force in the life of a group. Definitely. If I think back to those fond memories and moments of times in Game of Thrones where gossip was used to very healthily murder individuals, families, armies, people, groups, sometimes gossip can be good, that's all I'm saying. British evolutionary psychologist Robin Dunbar, in his book Grooming, Gossip, and the Evolution of Language, suggested that gossip is one of the most important mechanisms for bonding social groups. He believes it plays a role analogous to grooming in other primate groups. Sharing gossip with another person is a sign of deep trust because you are signaling that you believe that this person will not use this sensitive information in a way that will have negative consequences for you. Well, I don't know if that's true, Robbie Dunbies. Hey, I'm sharing this hot goss with you, this juicy G, in an effort to prove to you how deeply I trust you. And not because gossip is the life force through which my body gains its energy. You know those people that just thrive. And what are you running? So, like glucose or whatever the fuck, yeah, like foods, water, that kind of stuff. Interesting, yeah. I'm purely powered by Juicy G. Shared secrets have a way of bonding people together. Kind of like I Know What You Did Last Summer, where a group of people accidentally murder someone. Sorority row. Harmless gossiping with one's colleagues builds group cohesiveness and boosts morale. And this can lead to greater job satisfaction. Not if you're the one at the job that everyone is gossiping about. Probably doesn't build cohesion for that person or boost their morale, but okay. An individual not part of the office gossip network is an outsider who is neither trusted nor accepted by the group, or the one being gossiped about, potentially. Hence, adopting the role of the self-righteous soul who refuses to participate in gossip will ultimately be self-defeating and will end up being nothing more than a ticket to social isolation. Okay. So you're like, hey, look, gossip, not really into it. I don't think it's a great look. I don't like to chat shit about people behind their back. Not really, my type of thing. Not really my get down. So I was just, oh, okay. And you guys fully just going to cut me off from... Yeah, I noticed as I was saying that you guys were sort of closing the circle off, which was slowly pushing me backwards out of the physical group. So it was good to watch it happen in real time while the words were coming out of my mouth. Okay, so not taking part in shitty stuff can lead to social isolation. This is a great learning opportunity for us, Do you want to be part of the group? Sometimes you're going to have to compromise things about yourself, your values, your beliefs, and essentially conform to the gelatinous, amorphous blob that is the collective. So that's good. That's good. And that can't be dangerous at all. Losing the identity of the individual to assume the identity of the collective, that can't have any negative impacts. January 6th, things like that. Definitely negative impacts on that one. Research indicates that there may be a chemical basis for the bonding benefits of gossip. Specifically, it appears that engaging in gossip triggers a spike in oxytocin, a hormone that is intimately bound up with good feelings and positive human experiences such as empathy, mother-infant bonding, and cooperation with others. It's like this person saying, hey, look, if you want to be part of the group, you really got to be chatting shit about other people. Also, did I mention that it fucking just floods your bod with that good feeling, positive human experience juice? Get juiced on oxytocin. Chat shit about some people. Natasha Brondino and her colleagues at the University of Pavia in Italy conducted a study in which 22 female university students engaged in 2 conversations 2 days in a row. I don't know where this is going, but I can't imagine that a 22-person study was enough people for this to really find any conclusive evidence, but sure. On the first day, half of the students interacted with one of their sorority sisters, an accomplice of the experimenters, who shared a scandalous but untrue story about another of their sorority sisters having an unplanned pregnancy. The conversation lasted about 15 minutes, and the accomplice coaxed at least one comment in response to the gossip from each of the participants. The other half of the participants had a similar interaction, but in this case, the storyteller related an emotional story about a sports injury that she had personally suffered, which led to a serious medical complication. On the second day of the study, all participants had a neutral conversation with Brondino about the study they were involved in. Following each of these conversations, the students provided a saliva sample to assess the level of oxytocin in the person's system. She's like, Brondino's like, I didn't even really need to sort these out based on who was told what, because the tocin was off the fucking Richter on the pregnancy one, and no one gave a shit about the sports injury. So the results were conclusive. The levels of oxytocin detected in the individual's saliva were significantly higher after engaging in a gossip conversation than following either an emotional non-gossip conversation or a neutral conversation. What did I tell you? The juicy G was the pregnancy story, and that shot the fucking toasty levels off the charts. The study offers a tantalizing glimpse into what might be happening inside of us when we gossip, and it may explain why we find gossip so irresistible. Yeah, because we're juiced up on juicy G, and we love it, and we thrive on it. And the toast just shoots is full of those good posy feelings. It's posy vibe juice, you know. The downside is that you have to engage in behavior that's pretty shitty to get it. So that was the first article about why it feels so good. You know, sometimes when you delve into something and you want to learn more about it, sometimes you walk away with oftentimes more questions than answers. Don't know what that says about us as people. We're all loons. We're all bloody lunatics. Me, you, all of us. We're all hepped up on chemicals, and we'll do shitty stuff to get those chemicals. I don't care if Mark hasn't told anyone that his wife is pregnant yet. He told me, and when I tell 7 people, I feel like I'm flying, dude. I'm on top of the world when I get to ruin his story that he's going to maybe tell to people later or doesn't want to share with them straight away. This isn't me, by the way. I'm not saying I would do this. But I got to get them toast levels up, you know what I mean? So it's like, I might have to. And gossip is considered socially taboo and dismissed for its negative tone. But a Dartmouth study illustrates some of its merits. Gossip facilitates social connection and enables learning about the world indirectly through other people's experiences. Gossip is not necessarily spreading rumors or saying bad things about other people, but can include small talk in person or online, such as having a private chat during a Zoom meeting. Prior research has found that approximately 14% of people's daily conversations are gossip and are primarily neutral in tone. I don't know why it kicked off with, like, are they trying to give us some like tips and tricks on how we can gossip? That first part felt a little unnecessary. Hey, I don't know if you guys know this, but a really good and easy way to spread rumors, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, by the way. I feel like gossips are really writing these studies, by the way, because they're really trying to paint gossip in a positive light, it seems like. Because so far, they haven't really given any evidence as to why it's not necessarily a bad thing, but only that we'll get fucking juiced on it when we do it. But I love that. And here's a couple ways that you can spread rumors. You know, engage in small talk in person or online. You know, have a private chat, maybe during a Zoom meeting. Spread those rumors, get the toast levels up, spread the juicy G. Gossip is a complex form of communication that is often misunderstood, says Esh and Jolly, a postdoctoral researcher in the Computational Social Affective Neuroscience Laboratory, who co-authored the study with Luke Chang, an assistant professor of psychological and brain sciences and director of the COSAN lab at Dartmouth. Quote, "It can be a means of social and substantive connection beyond its typical negative connotation." I feel like this is written by gossips. This is a little by goss, for goss articles that have been written and studies that have been done. Jolly and Chang were curious why people in their personal and professional lives spend so much time exchanging information about themselves and other people, and sought to determine why people gossip and what function it serves. Remember, approximately 14% of people's daily conversations are gossip. That seems like quite a lot. 14% of what we're chatting about daily is the juicy G? They created a game online to examine the role of gossip and how it manifests as information becomes more uncertain within the game. Participants played 10 rounds of the game together in 6-person groups. Each round, players were given $10 and could choose to keep the money or invest any portion of it into a group fund that was multiplied by 1.5 times and divided equally among the players. The game creates an inherent tension between selfish free riding and cooperative behavior, and is considered what researchers refer to as a public goods game. In some conditions, information was restricted so the participants could only observe the behavior of a few other players in their group. Our inspiration was creating a lifelike scenario in which you're a member of a community and affected by the actions of all other community members, but most of whom you rarely observe and engage with directly. In some games, players could privately chat with another in the group. This allowed players to relay information about other players' behavior to their partner, such as whether another player was free riding. Afterwards, players reported their willingness to play with each other again. Published in Current Biology, their findings demonstrate how gossip is a rich, multifaceted communication with several social functions. Different types of gossip emerge depending on the amount of information available. Spontaneous conversations about others occurred more frequently during games when players could observe the behavior of a few of their group members. When players could directly observe all of their group members, they tended to chit-chat and discuss a wider array of topics. Participants relied on secondhand information from their partners to stay informed about other people's behavior that they couldn't see, illustrating how gossip enables individuals to learn from the experiences of others when direct observation is not feasible. I don't know if you'd call that, I don't know, like, is it gossip when you say, I've got to deliver that thing by 3 p.m. Have you seen John today? Oh, yeah, I did. He was out the back picking up a whole bunch of stuff and loading it up into boxes. Okay, thank you. We engaged in gossip? I don't think you just relaying information about what someone else did is gossip. Oh, well, fuck. Now I need to look up the definition of gossip because I'm like, well, that sounds a little bit like gossip, but I guess the context is different. Let's hit the trusty Googs. Casual or unconstrained conversation or reports about other people, typically involving details that are not confirmed as being true. So just relaying information about what someone else did is Juicy G? I feel like these guys are they're just trying to rebrand Juicy G. They're chatting about the real good shit. Like in that other study where they're talking about, hey, did you hear that, I don't know if you heard this, but Lauren actually unplanned pregnancy. Yeah. Get those toxi levels rising. Oh, sorry guys, I'm actually going to have to, that last bit of Juicy G that I gave you there, that really just fucking got us real juice on that toast, and I am going to have to stop there because I've just hit my 14% of daily conversation being gossip on that one. The findings also showed that participants who chatted with each other felt the most connected with each other at the end of the game, and even shared similar impressions of the other players in the group. Sometimes studies say things, and the only response is, no shit. No shit. The findings showed that participants who had a chat with each other felt more connected at the end of the game? Yeah, that's probably going to be the case. Oh, yeah. So I went into this room and I talked to these two people, and then there were two other people in there on the other side of the room. I didn't talk to them, but at the end of it, I felt more connected to the two people that I talked to. Isn't that so weird? Isn't that a weird finding for my study? No shit, dude. Is that revelatory for anyone? Do they go, oh, having conversations with people makes you feel more connected? Okay, interesting. Chang explains that by exchanging information with others, gossip is a way of forming relationships. It involves trust and facilitates a social bond that is reinforced as further communication takes place. Again, I feel like you're contextualizing this as a singular form of gossip, where in this particular case, it's just an exchange of information about others who weren't there that was relevant to the game that you were playing. Oh, hey, for this game that we're playing, I need to know, did John put money into the pot? He did. Okay, perfect. Then I will also put money into the pot. That doesn't feel like gossip. And what we all agree as being gossip. In a typical public goods game, players contribute less over time, and an unraveling effect occurs that propagates through a network of people. However, in this study, cooperation declined less over time when players could privately communicate. Communication increased collective cooperation. Again, it feels a little bit like no shit. The researchers explain that gossip should not be regulated to just baseless trash talk. Which again, I feel like that's, when we say gossip, if someone says gossip to you, that's your initial reaction. According to the paper, the team's findings on the role of gossip are consistent with creating a shared reality in which friends and colleagues often find common bonds, establish alliances, exchange personal information, and discuss the behavior of others to establish a consensus of socially acceptable behavior. Gossip can be useful because it helps people learn through the experiences of others, while enabling them to become closer to teach each other in the process. I just can't help but feeling like Chang and Jolly are trying to rebrand Goss just a little bit. They're trying to take it out of the context in which we think of Hot Goss, Juicy G, the Gosso, and I don't mean Ryan. And they're trying to move it into, I don't know, like they're trying to, it almost feels like they're trying to contextualize it in a way that it's just sharing information that can be seen as just a form of communication. Or is that kind of genius? Maybe one of them has they're going through a thing at work at the moment where they're being, they've got to sit down with HR and stuff and chat about all of the gossip that they've been sharing, and he's just trying to reframe it. Both of them are trying to reframe it as, oh, no, guys, it's cool. We actually did a study. And it turns out Hot Gosso, and I don't just mean Ryan, it's a multifaceted form of communication, quite frankly. And we're really finding that it's a social function that helps to bring people together, strengthen communities, build and develop bonds. And that's why I told everyone about Mark staying late to steal laptops and sell them on eBay, okay? That's why I told everyone that. And that's also why I told everyone that Jeff's cheating on his wife, potentially. Because I wanted to strengthen my connections with people at work. Is anyone buying that? Are any of you buying that? Please keep in mind that if you don't buy that, I am going to spread some juicy G about all of you. John, I'm definitely going to say about you that, oh, sorry guys. That's my 14%. That's my 14% of juicy G for the day. Oh, John, you came so close to me, ruining you there, mate. I mean, helping to strengthen the bonds, multifaceted social functions and whatnot. Which is definitely why people on shows like, I haven't watched Survivor since I was a kid, but I'd imagine that everyone on that show is really keeping it above board, and all of the backstabbing and, the goss spreading is probably just an outlier, particularly given this new research. That should all really just be bringing them together, I feel like. So, gossip, are we walking away thinking that gossip is just a social bonding tool that we've misunderstood? My takeaway is no. I think there's a couple of nefarious parties who are trying to rebrand hot goss for their own benefit. And we also know that spreading the juicy G skyrockets the oxytocin levels and just makes us feel really good about ourselves. So again, both of these studies and articles trying to sell to us, hey, guys, I know that when I say gossip, it elicits negative connotations in your mind, okay? But it's actually really good. I don't think it did that for me. I think it's actually solidified me more in thinking, gossip bad. Gossip probably bad. Gossip definitely not communication tool. And gossip probably bad. Could be addictive. What if I get addicted to skyrocketing my oxytocin levels by chatting some hot goss? Is that a thing? Sorry, now I need to gossip addiction? Well, I guess we can circumvent all of this by saying, can someone become addicted to raising their oxytocin levels? Ugh. Oxytocin is known as a social bonding hormone. Unfortunately, though, it can also be the trigger to addiction. So I will say take both of these studies with a grain of salt, because if you goss too close to the sun and you goss too frequently and too often and you spike in the toast levels, you could become addicted to gossip. I think that's going to do it for this episode. If you think you might be addicted to gossip, send me a DM at One Weird Podcast on Instagram. Let me know, are you addicted to the Juicy G? Actually, I'll even chuck it up as a question on Spotify, which apparently you can do now. Are you addicted to the hot goss? Let me know. Answer that question. I don't know where it puts the answers, though. So if you're okay with outing yourself as being addicted to the goss, then respond to that. If not, send me a DM. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you for coming and hanging out, for giving me your time, your ear. That's a weird one to go out on. Yes, thank you so much for lending me your ear. Let's pretend I didn't say that. And now I'll just do sort of like a normal podcast outro. But please don't tell people I said that. And again, we know that if you sort of go and you tell people that, you could potentially become addicted to telling people things about others. So probably, hey, for my benefit and also for your benefit, let's just keep what I said to both of us, and we'll forget about it, and we'll forgive each other, and we'll move on. Does that sound good? Perfect. If you want to leave a rating and review, help people find the pod, help them say to themselves, hey, this is actually something worth giving my time and my ear to. Sorry, I had to bring it back. You know, I've already said it now, so I've got to try and own it. Is this something I want to give my ear to? Potentially, because of all of the wonderful 5-star reviews that you and others like you left. So go find Weird But Wonderful, throw in Weird But Wonderful podcast to any of your podcast catchers of choice. Leave a 5-star review. Helps people find the show. If you want to let me know that you're addicted to the goss, you can email it to me at oneweirdpodcast@gmail.com, or you can send me a DM on the social platforms at One Weird Podcast. Everywhere you do the socials, except for TikTok. This pod ain't on TikTok. But you can find the other podcast I'm on and future clips of this at BLK Swan Society, which is where this wonderful show is housed. At BLK Swan Society on the socials, Instagram and TikTok. Go check out The Advisory, which is the weekly advice podcast that I co-host with David. But that's going to do it for this one. Takeaways from this episode, just as some practice, try to take your daily gossip percentage from 14% down to 13%. And then we'll work on it over time. We'll see if we can get it down even lower. But I mean, let's start with an achievable goal. You know what I mean? I'm also going to be working on my goss levels. and I'll let you know how I went next week on the next episode. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for lending me your ear. I'll see you next time.